idea what 119 would mean about tonight? Come on, somebody. Yes. Okay. You're shy already, I can tell. The women that are going to be on this panel discussion tonight, along with the facilitator, have a total years of experience, knowledge of 119 years. That deserves an applause. Now, that's striking. Now, I'm going to tell you, for the small business owners in the room, maybe entrepreneurs, those that are thinking about starting a business, this is for you, because this is going to be some knowledge and nuggets. If you come away with one nugget of information, it made the evening and your time worth it. So by all means, pick these ladies' brains, because I know they've got information and knowledge that they will share. We have years of experience from 52 down to 1. So, and everywhere in between. So this is great. So with no further ado, I would be introducing our president right now, Dr. Anton Reese. However, he was delayed coming back from our system office. There's a meeting that's going on today, and he was delayed by an hour. So he will be here. He will make comments when he does. He's not bashful, as you all know, if anybody knows Dr. Reese. But we love him, and we appreciate him being here. So I would now at this time, though, would introduce to you our presenting sponsor is Paducah Bank, and the chairman of Paducah Bank, Mr. Joe Frampton. Joe, if you would come up and make some comments.
Good evening, all. I'm very pleased to be here tonight with you, particularly personally. My heart is with small business. I grew up in and my 2 careers were in 2 small family businesses. So I look forward very much to hearing what you all have to debate and discuss and talk about tonight. And I'm sure, as always, I'll come away learning a whole lot from you. So thank you for inviting me here. Paducah Bank is very proud to sponsor this event. And believe it or not, we are a small business. It's 75 years ago, last month, that Paducah Bank started. So talk about small, we started with 0 on Broadway here in Paducah between 5th and 6th Street. So we haven't moved very far over to Jefferson Street, but we've grown because of the support we've gotten from this community. And we try to live in this community as good citizens and give back both as a company and as individuals through volunteerism. So it gives me a great deal of pride to say that I'm working at Paducah Bank, have been there 40-some years, and love going to work every day. Not because I can count money, I can't, but it's joy I find in relating to people. And that's what life is all about. So I look forward to hearing this tonight. I do have 3 people I want to introduce to you. I brought 3 ladies with me from Paducah Bank. And the reason is that if you have any questions about banking, they are very happy to provide answers and engage with you. I don't have the answers. They're all experts. So at the first table, Amelia Arnold, stand up. She works in the Lone Oak facility and banking center. She's a small business lender special relationship manager. So Amelia, we're glad you're here. Sitting almost behind her is Taylor Eubanks, who works in our main office. Taylor is in treasury management, and I have no idea what that is, except it has something to do with money, right? And you help people with accounts, deposits, electronic transfers, everything they need to do about moving money around their business, right?
Business banking outside of lending.
There you go. Thank you for being with us, Taylor. And at the next table is Megan Tinsley, and Megan is in our main office, wealth management, private banking. She works with a lot of individual professionals and small businesses. So thank you 3 for being here. I would say your backup. That's not true. I'm your backup. So if there are questions tonight, folks, they're welcome. please address one of these ladies. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Kathy.
I would be remiss if I don't identify 2 or 3 other people here in the room. We have J.W. Cleary, the local president of the Paducah-Cracken NAACP. J.W. Sandra Wilson, president of the Paducah Area Chamber of Commerce. I mean, the chamber is a friend of small business, so thank you for coming. We have Aaron Harned, the man on the ground here in Western Kentucky with the Kentucky Small Business Development Center. Aaron, stand up. Oh, come on, everybody else. Aaron is boots on the ground for y'all. Many of y'all have already worked with Aaron, and he's here actually in this building too, if you don't know. So I was always happy to have Aaron with us. So, with no further ado, let's get this discussion started. I'm going to ask the ladies. I'm going to introduce you, and you have the bios at your table. The background and experience of these ladies is priceless. I'm not going to read all the information. It's so impressive, but I want you to take this with you and meditate on it, think about it. I'm sure any one of you ladies would be happy to answer questions even now or later. So by all means, hold on to those. But what we're going to do, it's going to be a panel discussion. The lady's going to ask you to come up here. So I'm going to just introduce you in order. Lynne Chambers, co-founder and executive director of Legacy Training Incorporated. So Lynne, if you would join us on the platform.
Would you like me at this end?
It doesn't, it's either way you want to go. Probably just come on down to this end. That way everybody
They won't
can.
have to fall over me.
Oh, I hope you don't. Please don't. Courtney Hamilton, owner and lead instructor of Marikai Beauty School, LLC. So Courtney can come on with us. Shulorn Hollowell Jeter, co-founder of Boss Management Development, LLC. So, yeah, there's no steps. Yeah, there's no steps on this. Miss Mary Pettus-Rowland, owner and operator of Pettus-Rowland Funeral Home, LLC. And last but certainly not least, Aseer Scott, owner of Ace Academy, LLC. Aseer just celebrated her first year in business in January. So. And to facilitate the discussion tonight is Cora Sims, owner of Cora. I did not put your name of your business on there, but you have a business as well, and it's Cora Creative Studio and an author, a published author. So Cora's going to facilitate the questions. And again, this is a discussion. This is being live streamed and recorded, so it'll be something you can go out and look at a later date. But please just kind of bring your hand up, and I will get a mic to you so you'll be able to be heard by those people that might be watching later on when they want to. Cora, kick it off.
Is the stream on the Western Kentucky?
It is streamed on the Western Kentucky website. Facebook. It's on the Facebook, West Kentucky's Facebook page. So again, thank you, ladies. I'm going to do one thing for help of the streaming. I'm going to put the topic back on the screen. All right, I'm done.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Minority Female Professional Small Business Meeting. And welcome to all you wonderful ladies. I want to look at you. So I wanted to start the discussion with each one of you telling about your business just for a few minutes. So briefly tell me about your business. And we'll start with the baby over here.
Like Kevin said, my name is Aseer Scott, and I own Ace Academy, LLC. And what I do is I work with students ages 14 to 21 who have documented disabilities, and I help them with transition services. So those services could be life skills, it could be resume writing, job searching, job shadowing, literally anything that they need to figure out life, we talk about. I have a lot of students that come to the college here from come here to WKCTC. I have a lot of high school students in the area, and so just helping them figure out where they are today and where they want to go and those steps to get there, and advocating for them and encouraging them and staying on them to make sure that they're doing what they need to do to move forward and be successful, a successful part of the community.
And Aseer, do you have an actual location or are you remote?
I am remote. I actually visit the students where they are to make it easier for them. I go into the high schools, I come here on campus and meet with them. So I don't have a physical office, I work from home, but yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you. Mary Pettis?
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Sims. I'm Mary Pettus-Rowland, owner of Pettus-Rowland Funeral Home here in Paducah, Kentucky, located at 1229 Madison Street. And as a business owner in funeral service, we serve the community wholeheartedly in their time of need and their time of bereavement. And not only that, we have our doors open for pre-arrangements. A lot of families are pre-arranging for services. So we just want to show love in the community. Amen. We want to participate in the community. Amen. And to show that I have a wonderful staff. I looked up, one of my staff members are here. And I'm thankful for that because when I left the funeral home, they were very busy. So I'm so grateful to see them here. Amen. But we're willing to serve those families that call upon us to the best of our ability. As my motto is, our service to you is a sacred trust.
Amen. My name is Shulorn Hollowell Jeter. I am a licensed real estate agent with eXp Realty. I own a renovation company, Boss Management Development, LLC. And what I do is I sell houses, I renovate and restore old houses, and sell those houses or use them as an Airbnb. That's pretty much what I do. I improve the neighborhoods one house at a time.
Courtney?
My name is Courtney Hamilton. I'm still a hairdresser, so I've been cosmetology for the past 20 years, own my own salon, which was Expressions Beauty Salon in Murray and Fulton, Kentucky. I now own a beauty school in Murray called Meraki Beauty School. It will be a year old March 18th. We are almost at capacity of what I can, hold from the jump, from coming out the gate. So I'm really proud of that, and I give honor to God for that and glory to God because He didn't have to let me do that. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also in ministry. I have a nonprofit organization called Women of Worship, which is basically WOW, and actually help women break the cycles of abuse, poverty, neglect. Basically, it's just kind of like bridging the gap between people or women in Christ. Amen. So, because, it's a lifestyle change is what people need. So I'm basically what I feel like I am at heart is a person who is here to encourage and help other people do better. So that's what I've done my whole life. Make people feel better, make people, better, and then giving myself to make people, better. And I feel good when I do that. It's rewarding.
Thank you. Well, I also honor the Lord this evening for us being here, and to Dr. Reese in his absence and soon-to-be presence, and to Kevin for his invitation and for that warm and gracious welcome from you, sir, from Paducah Bank. I'm so pleased to be here tonight. And to you, Madam Facilitator. These are amazing, amazing women, and I'm still not sure why I'm here. I have had the blessing and opportunity of knowing everybody except this lovely lady and then the lovely on the end, but these two I've known for many years. My name is Lynne Chambers. I wear a variety of hats. The bio says that I'm the executive director of a not-for-profit called Legacy Training Incorporated. Our vision is to alleviate poverty of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And we do that by expanding the arts and promoting health in underserved communities. We have several signature events. The one that has been the longest is for 13 years. We've produced the African American Women's Health Conference, Our Lives, Our Stories. You're all invited. It's August the 19th at Shawnee Community College. It's free. If you have a business, you're welcome to vend. We do charge a nominal fee for vending and exhibiting, but we would love to have you. It's very much a regional event. We also are producing for the first time the southernmost Illinois Conference on Criminal Justice. We want to reach out to families that have been impacted by incarceration, talk to policymakers, and talk about what changes and supports that can happen in our community. So I'm a social entrepreneur. My grown-up job is I'm an attorney. I went back to school late in life. At age 50, I had a serious midlife crisis, Mr. President, and decided that after being a social worker for 30 years, that law is social work on steroids. So I changed careers. But my very, very first business 22 years ago was Chambers and Associates, LLC. And that was a business that basically, I was Olivia Pope before. If you've watched Scandal, I was the one that said handled. People just came to me with a lot of problems, a lot of issues, and I said, you know what, this is consulting, and I think I can make a little money from it. So that's how I started a consulting firm 22 years ago. So I have 3 business entities, the law practice, our not-for-profit, and our for-profit. Do you know what the most romantic words are in the English language? The sexiest words? I know you think it's I love you, but it's really multiple revenue streams.
Thank you
I do
so
love
much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So we're gonna get into the questions, but first, before we do that, I have it on my heart to say I started late in life too. I got my bachelor's degree in 2018. I was 38. I know you and you both did as well later in life. So if you are wanting to do something, don't let age be something to stop you. Please don't. Because as long as you wake up with a breath in your body, you can do it. So, and these ladies are evidence. I'm evidence as well. And shout out to my racers on the panel as well. Or any other racers in the room. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the questions. So first, why did you decide on the business career that you chose? And I actually wanna start with Mrs. Aseer down here at the end.
So I like to say that I did not choose the business chose me. I actually started doing what I was doing here at the college. It was a grant-funded program, and we found out that that grant was ending, but the need was still there for the children to utilize those transition services. And when we found out the grant was ending, they told us that we could, start our own business and we can still continue on and do it. And the first time they said it, I ignored it. I just wanted to see, what my other options were. It wasn't something that was pressing. I felt like I had time. And so 3 months later, when the grant actually was ending, my coworker was like, come on, let's do it. Let's just do it. So we sat down, we got it done. And a month later, Ace Academy LLC was born. And so really the reason I do it is because the need is there and people need direction. And just like when I was growing up, I needed direction and I needed someone to believe in me and I needed someone to stay on me because sometimes I forget or I get caught up in things that are going on and I get distracted. And so I know growing up now these days, they have a lot more distractions and there's a lot of things going on. So I just want to be that person that they know believes in them and steers them in the right direction and gives them those resources that they may not know that they can qualify for, they're eligible for, to help them achieve their goals.
And also, while we're asking the questions, if anyone has any questions, feel free to raise your hand, and then we'll have you go to the podium, okay?
I want to tell this story of how I got into this field. This is what my parents always told me. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I was with them downtown, and a lot of cars came through. They were all black cars, and all the lights were on. And I asked my parents, why are the cars black and the lights are on? And they told me it was a funeral procession. Of course, I didn't know. And I said, well, where are they going? And my mom and dad told me they're going to the cemetery. Someone had passed, and they were going to the cemetery to bury them. And my parents told me immediately after they said that, I made the statement, I'm going to lead a funeral procession one day, not knowing. But as I grew up and in school, I was fascinated with anatomy, chemistry, physiology. Those are the subjects, biology. I was just fascinated. And not knowing it would take me to a career that I've been in now for 52 years. Amen. But I've had a heart for the sciences and enjoyed it immensely, the learning that I have obtained. But it is from my heart. At 6 or 7 years old, I knew my direction, and through the help of my parents, through the help of God, as the song goes, He's brought me a mighty long way. Amen. The Lord has, and I'm grateful for that. Amen. And the desires of your heart, as I think Miss Lynne Chambers was mentioning, go with it. If it's in your heart, go with it. And my parents told me, as I grew into this field and got my own business, it had to have been in my heart. Amen. Thank you so much.
The question is, why did I get into this business or career? 18 years ago, I graduated from Murray State University. I didn't find a job that I liked that made enough money. There was a cap. So I saw my real estate agent at Walmart. She asked me, what are you doing since you come out of school? I don't know, I'm looking for a job. You should think about real estate. Amen. Simple as that. I said, yeah. So I thought about it, and I got my real estate license in 2005. And the reason I started my company, I was always around real estate. My daddy was a contractor, he was a developer. And they called him boss on the job. He was always referred to as boss. So that's where my name of my company come from, Boss Management Development, LLC. And when I first thought about rehabbing houses, because I've always liked the old houses and seeing the new, bringing the old with the new, I didn't think I could do that. But I had family support, my brother sitting over there, you can do this, and he does contracting. And so I just thought, okay, I took the worst house in the neighborhood. A lot of people didn't want me to take that house. That house needs too much work, but I did it. I renovated the worst house in the neighborhood, and it's like that put me on the map. And so now, at this point now, yes, I renovate houses, but when I got my license in real estate, it opened another world for me. When I went to college, it opened another world for me. I was in my 30s when I went to college, and my mother always said, well, you're going to be 30-something anyway, you may as well be 30-something and educated. So that's what I did. And so once I got that bachelor's degree from Murray State, and then I took that, and then I went and got my real estate license. I have a very supportive husband. Went to Frankfurt for a few weeks. Took those classes, those crash course classes, got all our education I needed, took that license, and took the test for my license. Did real estate for years, and that was always when I saw real estate agents, I saw professional business women, dressed nice, driving nice vehicles, and I thought, wow, at first I didn't know if that was achievable, but once I got into it, y'all, these are people just like me. They're trying to make it just like I am. And then once I got into renovating old houses, and I took this one house and renovated it, and I realized, okay, I'm on to something here. And I did, and it was a good job. I did a good job. And acquiring property. So what I'm trying to say is this. Once you make that step into something you like, you build up on that thing. And then you build up on that thing until you're at a position where you're the boss. You're running a company. Did I think I could do this? No. I was a mom with 2 kids and a husband going to school and then getting a license. But I did it. I'm doing it. People know me. They know my work. They know I'm doing good work. So I just strongly encourage everybody, whatever it is you want to do, you're never too old. You're going to be that age anyway. You may as well be that age of smart or a business owner. and just go for what you know. Step out there. I have a problem. I step out into the deep before I really count up the cost sometimes. But I stepped out into the deep, and I was strong enough to manage it and work it. And now I can say I have a company now. I can say I do good work. And when I go on the job, this is what I want done. Move this right there. I want that right there. I know what I'm doing. I took the worst house and learned a lot. And now I know how to renovate houses. And it's awesome. And I bring the old houses to life. And I love that, bringing old houses to life. I grew up around real estate. So, and I've never been a stranger to hard work. So that's kind of how I just kind of got into it.
Courtney?
I think I'd say it went back to, my childhood as well. Seeing my mom make women pretty. I remember going to women's houses and she arched their eyebrows with soap and water and a razor. And I remember, her always doing her hair and doing my hair. And then I think I got to about an age where I was like, I don't want her to do my hair anymore. I want to wear it like this because she's putting too many pigtails in it. So I started combing my own hair, and then I did a good job. And then I think my friends started seeing that. They were like, can you do my hair? So I think I started out doing kitchen hair. So, that's just be honest. I was doing kitchen hair, and then it kind of transpired into a business before it ever really was a business too, because I was a teenager, about 16, 15, 16 years old. Well, probably about 16 because I had a car. And I remember all my friends, going to work, and they would have jobs at, McDonald's, Hardee's, and I'd be like, I hate working those places. And I would go there, and I'd stay there like a week, and I'd quit. And I'd be like, I can't keep a job. I hate working. Like, I couldn't do it because I didn't like it. So if I didn't love it, I couldn't do it. So I knew, I was like, there's something. And I was like, I'm going to do people's hair. So I started just kind of telling people, I do hair. And people would tell other people, she does hair. Then I would drive around after school. Once I ended up realizing and graduating high school, I ended up driving around all the time. I even did hair in Paducah. Even, it was, of course, what you're supposed to do, but I would drive around with a hairdryer in my trunk and literally go in people's houses and do their hair. And I bet you I done hair. I did hair on them, in their house, and this was before I had a license. And so while my friends were at McDonald's and Hardee's and places like that, I was driving around to people's houses and doing their hair and getting paid for it and making enough money for me at the time. And then I realized, I was like, man, this needs to be a business because I loved it. And it was one thing I realized. I said, wow, I don't feel like quitting it, right? So everything I had started before, I was like, I'd started to do it for a little while and be like, quit. Because, and everybody was like, can you keep a job? And I'm like, I don't know. But then I realized, I'm like, this is it. This is what I need to do. So I came here to West Kentucky, got my license, got out and started doing hair, and went, first you're supposed to start out, working in a place like, maybe JCPenney or something, commission-based job. And I realized, I was like, I don't think I want to do that because I knew that in my community where I was from, Murray, there weren't any hairdressers. So I was like, there's really not anywhere I would want to work, to start out commissions. So there, I went around and kind of looked at different salons and stuff, and there were no black salons for me to go to. So when I went, and just popped in, I'm just trying to get a feel of like, I was thinking honestly in my head, like, nobody's going to want me in their business. And that was just my thought, because I had never seen anybody my color in their businesses. But that was the truth, in Murray. So I went in and one of the places that I went was, I went a couple places, but hair studio. I never forget, it was Takina Bomar in Murray. She called me. Because I had gone in and I was getting ready to graduate, and I just went in and introduced myself, said that I was about to graduate and was looking for somewhere to go. And she looked at me and she said, "Oh, really?" She was like, "Well, we have openings here." And I just took it like everybody else said that, right? And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I left. Well, then I remember driving to Frankfurt. My mom was driving me to Frankfurt to take my test, and she called on the phone and she was like, "Hey, Courtney, I was wondering, if you gave it any more thought and decided where you were going to go work." And I was like, wow, she really wants me to work there. And I was so excited. I was like, Mom, she wants me to work there. Not realizing, either that, I was about to go into booth rental, which was entrepreneurship, because you're an independent contractor. You pay them money to just rent a space and you handle the rest of the business. So I mean, all excited, like, oh my gosh, I got a job, you know. So basically, came back from that test, submitted everything I needed to have a license, and went into work there. The first week I worked, and you know, I thought that, you know, for sure, oh, you know, I'll get a slow start, you know, or whatever. But I was marketing. This was before social media. I had little handbills. I was passing them out. I was telling everybody, you know, I'm a businesswoman at heart, so I was, you know, had already been telling people, you know, I'm finna do hair studio. I already had the cars made up and everything, you know. So I'm out, and I go into my first day of work, and I remember that it was the week of Martin Luther King birthday when I started at Hair Studio 2003, and I walked in that first week, made a killing. Made more money than I ever dreamed I thought I'd make. And it started something. It fueled something in me. It just fueled something in me. And so I just was like, I want more of this. And I mean, when I tell you I worked, I didn't eat lunch. I didn't eat breakfast. I was working sun up to sundown. I'd work from 10 to 10. I worked 10 to 12. Then, you know, my business was going so much, you know, especially with the students, you know, when they were in town, I had like literally people loaded up in their salon at times because I had to figure out a rotation to get that money, you know. So I'm like, you know, mixing them up and getting them out, you know, because these were business women, you know, they had things to do. So I'm like, how am I gonna, you know, best, you know, utilize my time and get them in and out? So that became my thing and what I was known for too. You know, people could. They were like, oh, well, you go to her, you're not gonna sit in the shop all day, that's for sure. Because I'm telling you, she gonna get you in and out. I'm telling you, she's on it, you know, blah blah blah. She worked. So they came because they knew they could get in, get a good hairstyle, and be gone. And also I was able to grow their hair. So that became, you know, what I was known for. I worked my tail off for I know a good 15, 20, almost to 20, about 15 years. And then it started to take a toll on me. And I'm like, Lord, like, I got to eat. I got high blood pressure. I got sugar. Not diabetes. I got sugar. Like, I had all these things. And I was like, wow, you know, you got to take care of yourself. And I was just running ragged. So I started to scale back. I had children. Started to see the bigger picture too, you know. So once I had the children, you know, of course I was married, you know, I got married right after I had finished school, or during school actually. And then we didn't have the kids for a couple years later. Then all that started to just flourish, and I'm like, you know, I need time with my family, so I had to learn how to then pack my schedule even more. So I would spend 3 days, work 3 days, and then, you know, be off days so that I could actually raise my kids, because that felt like it was important for me. Like, that was one of my biggest things. I was like, I always said to myself, I don't want to be the person who has this, and I say this when I like minister or encourage young women, I say, don't let your career life be on 10 and your personal life on 2. And what that means to me is like, you're going to work, right? And you're going to make money, and that's great, but money by itself doesn't make you happy, you know? So make sure that you have a healthy balance. And that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn to do, was a healthy balance. Like, I really, you know, had to scale back. So I took the fall back for a couple of years and just worked kind of part-time, but still full-time. So that was, you know, me really putting a hardship on my body. And then, long story short, you find out that while you're sitting in that chair and you're doing people's hair, you become much more than just a hairdresser. You become a psychologist. You become a minister. You become a sister. You become a friend. You become everything, you know. And so, because people trust you on their head, so they're going to trust you with their life. And so that took me into ministry. And then that took me into the women of worship. And then that took me, you know, led me more and more and more, and even now into the school. Because now it's like, how else will you be able to make the community better unless you put yourself out there into the community to expose yourself and the goodness, you know, that you have to offer and to teach, right? And this generation, I'm telling you now, if there is ever a time that if you feel like you need to influence anybody, it's now. It's now. And I'm learning that because of the younger generation, just seeing them and how they think. So long story short, that's how I got into it, just knowing that it was my thing. Like, made money at it, didn't want to work at McDonald's. Knew I could do somebody's hair and they pay me some money, so it worked.
Well, I was going to ask you if you were taking private clients, but I'll let you be with your family. That's fine.
I still work doing the school, so I started the school. I'm still working hard. I'm working harder now, actually. So
that's normally how it is.
yeah.
All right, Miss Lynne.
We'll take a field trip and go down
I
and
know.
get together.
We'll love it. We'll
Yeah,
love it.
Miss Jeter came.
Yeah.
She gets her hair at the school,
Yeah.
done at school.
And look at her. I mean, what a commercial. She's so beautiful. Like, you're beautiful.
Thank you.
So, Miss Lynn, you said you got your law degree later in life. What made you decide to do that?
Well, can I give you a little bit of the backstory? Okay. So I heard a lot of themes from my co-panelists. I heard that entrepreneurship, you have to have faith. I heard that we're risk takers. It's like you jump off a cliff and close your eyes and you have to be very comfortable with that. And then I also heard models, childhood, but the biggest thing I heard was doing things where your natural gifts and talents and abilities lie. So from Ms. Pettus, we heard that she always liked chemistry and anatomy and she saw that very early. She had that vision for her life, right? And I hear from you that you just saw these models of professional women and you're like, oh, they got it going on. And so I grew up very differently. I grew up being raised by my grandparents. My grandfather had a third grade education, but he drove trucks, so very hard worker. He got hurt and he retired young. He retired at age 51 and he bought a farm. Now, he was a city guy. He was in Chicago, didn't know anything about the farm. Y'all ever see Green Acres? That was my life, He did this Green Acre thing. My grandmother was kicking and screaming, and so he did the farming thing for a while. I still have scars from angry roosters trying to get eggs, but that didn't last very long. So we went from trying to be farmers, and he bought a tavern. Now, having a tavern, and I'm 11, 12 years old, I saw the entrepreneurship. It was years before I figured out I wasn't supposed to be in a bar or selling alcohol. But it was a neighborhood. It was kind of like Cheers. It was just a neighborhood. My grandmother had very, very poor vision. She had glaucoma, as unfortunately many of our community, but it wasn't treated, so she was almost blind. So at 11 young people, I was doing the inventory, buying stock, paying bills, just doing all kinds of things. So I learned, because I was mama's eyes, I learned how to run a business. So fast forward, made some dumb decisions, got married and had children way too early. And my husband believed that work was a 4-letter word, so he didn't fool with it too much. So that didn't last long. So here I was, a young woman, single parent. I've got to figure out something. So I just got jobs. I started out as a secretary, but it was such a blessing because my first job was at a community action agency. And that's where I discovered social work. I'm like, I love helping people. From that, I hadn't seen any social workers, but I thought it was a cool thing. So my first career was social work. Blessed to work at a great agency in Cairo, Illinois. But you know what they did to me? They let me have a lot of freedom. Lots of freedom. So the next job, when I went to Southeast Missouri State University to work, there were things like, oh, you need to be here on time, and what do you mean you're going to just take off because your kid called, and all kinds of stuff that I wasn't used to because I had worked for 17 years. I worked very hard, but I had a job with a lot of freedom. And suddenly I realized that's the most important thing to me. Not money, but freedom. So I left the university. Everybody thought I was crazy because SEMO is a pretty good gig, right? But I was just very unhappy. So my anger and my frustration, because I was no longer free, that's why I started a business. So that's how the consulting business started. I left. I had no money in the bank. I'm really kind of a model of how not to do, y'all. So no money in the bank, no credit. But the good news is I didn't finance anything with the business because it was all me. I was in my little house, in my little corner, and I just went through my Rolodex. Now, I'm old, but young people, a Rolodex is something that we used to have before we had contacts in the phone. And I've always believed in the power of networking. Everywhere I go, my mother says, Lynn, you don't collect stamps or anything, you collect people. And I do. I probably have 2,000 business cards. So I called everybody in my Rolodex. I'm like, y'all, guess what I did? I quit my job and I ain't got no money. So I need you to look around. What is your, in consulting, they call it, what is your client's pain? What do y'all need me to do? I'm not too proud. I can sweep, I can mop, whatever. And believe it or not, that's how I started my business. I got through the A's and everybody had pain because consulting work is sometimes doing things that you don't have enough staff to do. Well, we've got this event we need to put on. I put in my grant because I started in the not-for-profit sector. We got this grant to do a conference, and I don't have any staff with any time or experience. I'm like, I've never done it, but I'll figure it out. So that's part of what I started to do. I decided I love teaching and training, so I started offering, what can I come and talk to your staff about? Give me a topic, we'll play with it. And I started doing that for free, and guess what? They started paying me, girl. What? So that was the consulting practice. So that was Chambers and Associates, and it was amazing. I wound up, does anybody remember I believe it was President Bush, not Daddy, the younger Bush administration, there was a faith and community-based initiative. And that initiative was about how do we bring communities of faith in partnership with not-for-profits to deliver services to people. So they hired me as a consultant, and I went all over the country and trained people how to do that. And guess what? I added to my Rolodex. So after that training, y'all get me back, I'll be back. You want some more? Come on. So that's how the business grew. Fast forward to a time in Illinois where I was managing a lot of projects, and we had a budget crisis. I don't know if y'all watched the news, y'all heard about it. And Illinois quit paying their bills. That wasn't good. And I got very, very tired of always robbing Peter to pay Paul to manage my social service programs. I had to take my for-profit business to support my not-for-profit. So I said, I need to figure out something different. I said, well, I'd had this vision of being a lawyer. Now, I didn't know a lot about what being a lawyer was, but I remember at age 20, like you, I saw them, they walked into the room, and people paid attention, and they looked good, and they smelled good. And you know what, the main thing, something about how lawyers think. I said, wow, I like that. So that seed was planted at age 19 and 20. So fast forward, I applied for law school, did not think I was gonna get in, and lo and behold, I got in. And I'm like, okay, I'm in it now. So I held my nose, jumped off the cliff, and that's how I became an attorney. I had to give you the backstory.
That's okay. I'm the same way. It's fine. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, it's all right. You can go ahead. Okay, that's okay. Go. They just want the people that are on the camera to be able to hear too. So if you could come up there, if you don't mind, ma'am.
I would like to know.
Here, you can take my mic so you don't have to walk that far.
I would like to know about, when you run a business, right? You need a bank account for the business. I would like to know how would you go about establishing that, and sort of go into details about how you handle it. Because sometimes when you having a bank account over here, it's in your name, with your business. When I need some money over here, I'm gonna just go get a little bit, put it over here. Explain that for me. How that work?
I think you're talking to me to start it off. You're looking directly at me.
But we have all these bankers in the room too, so.
Yeah. So when I started selling real estate, I had a real estate account. One of the realtors just told me, you need to get a real estate account. That's your business account, and then you got your personal account. This real estate account pays me in my personal account. Now that I have Boss Management Development, okay, now I got another business. I got my real estate account, my Boss Management account. All the money goes for Boss Management. It goes to Boss Management. I don't commingle the money. It can get bad if you commingle the money. And Boss Management pays me, or Boss Management pays those bills. Real estate account pays real estate bills. So here we are with my personal account. It doesn't have that much money in there, but that's my personal account. So, so with the banking, I always set up separate accounts. When y'all say the same thing?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And does anybody
definitely,
from
definitely.
Paducah Bank want to chime in on that too, in regards to business banking? You can come up to the mic if you don't mind.
Hi, ladies. I've really enjoyed listening to you so far. I'm Taylor Eubanks again. I work in treasury management and I handle these kinds of questions all day long. So yeah, we would highly recommend each business that you set up typically has its own tax ID number. So we would recommend setting up separate accounts per tax ID number. That's not to say we can't have multiple accounts per tax ID number for your businesses. But as your question, as you said, yes, we would recommend to have it separately. And then any recommendations we would make about commingling funds, we typically would rely on a CPA or your accounting firm.
And for the small business owners, don't go anywhere, just for the small business owners and the potential small business owners in the crowd, what would that look like if I am coming to the bank and I'm just a fresh business owner, I don't know what I'm doing? Walk us through that just real quick.
Yeah, so typically when business owners come to me, they already have figured out kind of who they are. So are they a sole proprietor? Are you a sole proprietor with your business? Are you an LLC? Are you a corporation? So then based on that information, I'm going to ask you for specific documentation. So what I'm looking for is your tax ID number and who owns the funds. So who is the human being behind the business? So I'm going to be asking for information on those people too, whether it's just you or whether it's you and 3 other people who own the business. We just need the information to know that the tax ID number for the business is valid and each person behind the business is also valid. So those are the 2 main questions and the main information we would be looking for. There's lots of extra details we could get into, but those are the main 2.
That's enough. You guys can visit Paducah Bank if you
Yes, come see me, Taylor Eubanks, main office.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna delve into one of my questions, and I know a lot of you are mothers, and any one of you that wants to jump in this, Courtney kind of touched on it just a little bit, but how do you juggle opening a small business or opening any business or even working in family?
Oh, you
Look, they're
mean
looking at Courtney again.
look. I can tell you, you put your family to work.
And your customers. My children didn't know who their mother was. The women in the shop took care of them.
Some strange lady paid for their clothes.
No, but I do believe, like, even with just, having, a family, it's important, to make sure that you have that work-life balance. So, when you choose your job and, your profession, you might also want to look at what you have, and at what stage and point in time in life you are, at or in. Because, like, right now, with me having the beauty school, there's no way I could have done that when my kids were younger. I don't feel like I could have properly balanced being a mother, and entrepreneur of a beauty school, cause I'm there a lot, and it's a lot. And so now I waited until I was they were older, cause he's 13 and she's basically 17 and a half. So she's almost 18. And I waited until they were a little bit older before I really, stepped out to do something that would, really cause for me to be there a lot of the time. But I also understand, you got to understand too, I also had a husband who to help with those finances. So that makes it totally, makes it look totally different, So, looking at it, just from not having a husband, I wouldn't even really be able to speak on that because, he's really played a huge part of everything, which is awesome to say, because you don't see that a lot of time, especially with us. I'm just saying I didn't, you know what I mean? Just speaking from what she said, she said her husband with a 4-letter word and don't work, right? So, well, mine works his butt off, always has. He was raised believing in, taking care of his family. That's, he come from the background, of that. So that allowed me, which I, growing up as a young adult or young person, with my mom, she was a single parent. I remember watching her. So that was one of the big things, too, in my life. So more than it was about what I was going to do as an entrepreneur or in the business, it was about my life as a whole. I looked at my life as a whole, and I was like, I don't even want to have kids unless I'm with somebody I know who's going to be there. That's right. Because I saw
what it looks like to not. So I was choicey. Me and him, we didn't even have kids for 5 years. You know, we was together, married 3 years, and then we had kids. You know, so I believe that making good choices is always, you know, part of it. You know, and who you have in the plan. You know, don't just, you got to start getting some advice. That was nothing. That was a good part about doing hair too. You got some old souls sitting in that chair. And boy, they can tell you some stuff. You get them women to talking, well, you learn some stuff. And that's really the truth. Like, so you know how I look at sometimes, and I'm gonna shut up because I talk a lot. But I look at sometimes, you know, like that people say, you know, you have to lead before, or you have to follow before you lead, right? And I was like, where did I ever follow? And I had to think about that, and I was like, you know where I followed? When those women were in the chair. They were grooming me every day. Every time they sat in that chair, and they sat in there regularly, I had some good customers. Really good customers. And these women were some good women. They were good, professional, strong women. This was one of them. Drove all the way to Paducah, from Paducah to Murray to get her hair done. And her mom, too. So, could you imagine the stories that I'm getting? And the consultation, I'm over here like, okay,
You gave it to her.
Yeah, and, I'm like, and then I knew her from her husband, you know, and he advised my husband. You know, he was in the military. We were young. We were just getting started. We was, you know, dating. And his husband, her husband, they were in the military together, and they were getting ready to get deployed. He said, "You already engaged to that girl?" He said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Marry her." You crazy? Marry that woman. She a good woman. Marry her. So we got married, you know, at a young age, and been married. We celebrated 20 years on the 14th of February. So, you know, just listening too. That's good. You know, to ask questions from people who already have been there. Get more than just about it's more to all of it than just, you know, the work part of it. There needs to be a work-life balance. So what if you got a lot of money, but you're not happy when you go home?
Amen.
You know, what's it worth then? You know.
In operating a business, it's a 24-hour business, and I have to depend so hardly upon a dedicated staff for calls that all during the night, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. All I do is pick up the phone, and my staff answers, and they go to take care of that family that has called upon us. I had a daughter, Nicole. She passed away in 2009, and my husband, Richard, he was an integral part of my life in helping me care for my daughter when I had to be away for services, had to work all during the night, and he took care of her. And she understood. She would say, "Oh, Mama got to go to funeral home," you know, one of those things. And but I'm grateful that I always rely on my staff. They're dedicated, they're committed, they're Christian people that understand what families go through in the time of death. So, and I'm thankful for that. I'm just thankful that I don't have to get up as much during the night as I used to because of my staff. So they're back there grinning, but I am thankful for all of them. But it was a job sometimes trying to juggle home life. I took very few vacations, but now I go to Florida every year, thank goodness for that, and visit my family in Florida.
So it sounds like
So
support.
wonderful staff, they take care of
Yes.
things in my absence. So
So
that's
support was really big for both of
yes,
you ladies.
yes.
All right, so another question we have here is, what was the biggest challenge for your startup? And I know Aseer kind of spoke about hers, about her grant ending and so forth. Shulorn, what was the biggest challenge for your startup?
The biggest challenge for my startup was me. I had to see myself being that businesswoman in real estate. And as far as boss management in this rehab company, that was an even bigger challenge because I had to see myself as being the boss. And that I needed to direct the workers. So that was one big challenge. The other big challenge was funding. Initially, I was seeking an investor. Didn't get an investor, but I knew I still wanted to do this business, and I started this company during COVID. So I went to the bank. The bank said, "Well, you don't qualify. You need to do this, this, this." okay, I did what they said and how they said it, so I can qualify for the loan. And once I got that loan, then I got out there and started hiring the people. Next challenge was labor. Everybody want to get paid, but don't nobody want to work. So I had to weed through a lot of people, contractors and different people that said they knew how to do things. It was a challenge in losing the money, but it was still a lesson learned. I learned a lot by mistakes, but those were really my major challenges. And now I can't see myself as that renovator, that woman that owns that renovation company. But a lot of time it was me. It was just that I didn't see myself. I wanted to do it. What woman runs a renovation company rehabbing houses? I grew up around real estate. My daddy did all this contracting work. My mom knows things about real estate. My brother knew about real estate. I can look at that house and tell something's just not right with it, you know? But that was my biggest challenge was me. But now I have overcome that. Once you overcome the hurdles and really see it, sometimes I have trouble just seeing what I do. Sometimes it takes somebody else to say, hey, you really did that. You did a good job with that. But a lot of times it is just me.
So the next question is, and I want each one of you to answer, so if we can keep this answer kind of short. How do you measure success, and what does that look like to you? We'll start right here.
Oh, with the hard one, huh? I was actually thinking about that as I drove over because of our title, Successful Minority Female Professionals, Best Practices and More. And I'm like, why did they invite me? I mean, I don't have a gazillion-dollar corporation. But I guess a measure of success, and Kevin and I had this conversation, it is, I guess, a big deal to be in business for 22 years. I have survived many, many storms because of that. I think that success for me is being able to enjoy what I do, really feel like I'm impacting other people's lives, impacting the community. Certainly you want a certain lifestyle, decent home, decent car. I don't need like 6-car garage and swim. I don't really need all of that, but I'm blessed with what I have and I'm enjoying it to see the fruits of the labor. But I think the success is really the ability to continue and the ability to have an impact.
I would agree, with her about, enjoying what you do. That's for sure, one of the things, because, like I said earlier, it was hard for me to keep a job. So, I finally found what it was that I wanted to do, and, the success part came in from, just being able to see my clients happy. Like when I've done a great job and the people are happy, when I've done a good job, and it's a job well done, I feel that, that's success for me. And then as far as the school goes, it's seeing those students grow and have everything and be equipped, with what they need to go out and do whatever it is that their dreams are. Because, at our school, that I opened, I try to do more than just teach them the basics of cosmetology, but I give them a lot of pieces of my life. Like I give them a lot of the things that I've gone through as well to get to where I am and try to encourage them to think big and to, just go out and do it. So that's success for me. When I see them do that, I'll feel successful.
Success to me is being able to make a difference in the community. Also, being able to make some money, make that company make some money. Also, having a loving family, supportive family, that's success to me. And last but certainly not least, is treating people right. And as long as God is pleased, I'm good. That's success to me.
Thank you, Ms. Sims. To me, it's first of all my faith and trust in God that He has brought me so far during times of me trying to work and trying to go to school. He made those things possible. So hard work, determination, and my grandmother always said, treat folks right, and right will come to you. Long time I didn't understand that, but now I do. As Shulorn said, being honest with people, being kind. You don't always have to be mean. And so I'm just thankful, but my faith has helped me to withstand hard times when I was said no at different banks, but God made a way. And never stop trying, never give up. Never give up. Keep the faith, keep trusting. If that's what you want to do, you can do it.
I agree with everything that all of these women just said. I would like to include success for me is just hearing the stories from my students. Just recently, I had a high schooler who didn't think she could go to college. College wasn't a thing. She didn't believe that she could go to college. She didn't know why she would need to go to college. And here she is in her second semester and learning and just seeing the different opportunities that she can have and not realizing that if not her, why not her? Why can't she? And so just hearing those stories and seeing the smiles on their faces when they achieve different things, making a difference, feeling like I made a difference in somebody's life.
Thank you. Those are all wonderful. Does anyone have any questions in the audience? I have plenty of them, but I'm trying to give you guys a chance. Could you come to the microphone if you don't mind?
Okay, so I know y'all said like y'all have really liked like the things that you do, and I was just gonna ask like if you want to do something and you know that you want to do that thing, do you think that you should have a plan before you start, or you should just go for it and throw yourself into it?
Good question.
You definitely,
We're gonna have anyone except Mama.
I think it is best to have a plan. In my case, I had a plan, but it wasn't a good plan as far as drawn out. I kind of jumped in the deep. But yes, it's best that you have a plan and have a timeline of the things you want to achieve to conquer your goal. Yes.
It is definitely important to have a plan where you want your future to go, what you want to do, and get that plan and get your little tab. I used to write down the things that I wanted in life, in school, and I wanted to own my own funeral home. I had a plan for all of that. So that's a start, having a plan and the direction that you want to go with your education.
oh, I would just say yes. You remember I said with the consulting firm, I was kind of like, don't necessarily do it this way, because I didn't write a business plan. I didn't go to the bank and get money because I wanted to have a debt-free business, and I still do. I've not borrowed any money for any of my businesses, but I sell my knowledge, so it's very different. But you should. I still have a plan. I'm like Miss Mary. I carry a journal with me every day, and I have goals. I have who I need to call, what I need to do. I constantly try to keep my vision in front of me, right? So yeah, definitely have a plan.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
She brought up the journaling, and I do that too. I
Yeah.
did that when I first started real estate. I document my day. I showed this house, showed that house. We had a conversation about this, and my journaling has saved me in a lot of situations because I had documented what happened that day. So strongly advise, if you have a company, if you don't do anything that day, nothing happened today. I would definitely document everything you do during the day.
And if you're an entrepreneur, that nothing happened today is not, no. No,
That doesn't exist.
That doesn't exist. It's like, well, I have time to eat today. It's so funny when you say that. I mean, I eat standing up most of the time, eat it while it's still in the pot because I'm on the phone. And you have to really learn how to manage your time. And that's part of your plan as well. I'm very, every minute of my day almost is pretty much programmed. So that's kind of my planning. It's about, I'm going to do this. I'm on the phone. Do I have the luxury of really enjoying this call? Or I have 5 minutes. I'll call you back later. So everything that I do, it's become, I've been in it a long time, but it's become rote now. It's become, by practice, because time is money, especially in my business now.
And I sell journals, by the way, just so everybody. Come on, Mr. Cleary.
All right.
I just want to say, first of all, giving honor to God, I've really enjoyed you ladies. What is your thinking for as giving back? I know one particular lady that's been in business for a long time. Sometimes when you give back, it's not necessarily money all the time. This one particular lady, I remember she used to, wherever you went, she was singing and stuff of that nature. And then when she got able to give back financially, then she started giving back financially. Do you think that when you give back, it comes back to you?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
very
yeah.
much so. And if you don't have money, time and talent.
Yes.
That's what I actually give, a lot more than money. I do both, but it's, yeah, very much so. It's well, the scripture talks about reaping and sowing. Secular folks call it karma, but whatever you want to call it, it truly, truly is a principle of life. What you put out is going to come back. So you're blessed to be a blessing.
Anybody else want to answer that?
Well, in real estate, we give a lot. We give a lot of free information out all the time. So we constantly give out. And I'm also in ministry. And I do have a passion for the community. I'm always at a community function. So that is my giving back. I just kind of pour out into the community.
I'd like to add, I enjoy serving just because I come from a big family. My parents are from Nigeria. One is one of 8, and the other one is one of 7. So there's always something that we can do. There's always something that's needed, and so I enjoy. In my free time, I actually coach basketball, and so I love giving back to those girls because, being a role model, seeing someone coming from playing basketball. I see my former coach in the audience, and so, or former teammate in the audience, and so, just being a role model and showing those younger than us or even our peers that it's not about money. It's about time. It's about the relationships you build, and just giving what you can give, and then in the end, it'll all full circle.
So I'm going to give you guys, you ladies, the classic question. If you could talk to your little girl self, what would you say to her? And we'll start with Miss.
Oh, wow. The hard ones, you start with me. Oh, gosh. I think that I would tell her that you're okay just the way you are. You don't have to be anything but yourself, and that's enough.
I would say believe in yourself, and just do it. Everything, like just it was growing up seeing it, Nike, just do it. Whatever it is. If you fail, my mom would always say the only failure there is failure to try. So I would tell her, remember that. Like keep remembering that and do it. And I did remember that.
Shulorn?
Shulorn, you can do anything you want to do. Stay focused, don't quit, and don't get sidetracked.
My little girl self says, Mary, now it's 52 years. I turned 70 this past December, and I'm working trying to get some young folks in there, get them trained, get them in school to carry on the legacy of Pettus-Rowland Funeral Home.
All right.
Beautiful.
And Aseer?
I would tell my younger self that you don't have to fit yourself into a box. You see what you see, and you can take pieces from that, but it doesn't have to be you. You are unique in yourself, and so understanding who you are and who you're going to be is a journey, and don't be afraid of that journey.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask the question, and was there anybody else first before I ask my question? No? And maybe I'm just taking everybody's question, I guess. So one common thing that we find in our community is sometimes we won't start something because somebody else is doing it. What suggestion do you have to people who don't have the blinders on when it comes to business?
Well, the word innovation. even though someone may be doing something, I'll use my new friend and sister here. There's a lot of beauty schools, I'm sure. But what I heard her saying, her brand is not just teaching you how to be a cosmetologist, she's a life coach. She's developing the whole human being. Did y'all hear that? That's innovation. That's going to set her apart. That's going to make her brand distinct. I'm already thinking about some girls in Illinois I'm going to send over here. So there may be other people that do. There's a zillion attorneys. But my brand is competent, caring, and compassionate. I have the opportunity to help people solve problems, and I see people often at their most vulnerable and lowest point. So I think what's really going to set me apart and what is working, I don't market the attorney business. In fact, out there in Cyberland, I don't market my law practice because word of mouth has brought me so many customers. I'm already kind of capacity and I need more help. So even though there may be lots of people doing what you do it using you, being you, bring what you have, and think innovation.
No one does it like you do it. Me personally, I'm passionate about what I do. Whenever I do anything in real estate, I'm passionate about it. I'm at a point like Lynne Chambers has said, where people will call me now and say, hey, I need you to talk to us about listing our house or buying a house, or we looking for some investment property. So I'm at that point now. I don't really have to go out and knock on doors or market. So the reason they call me because they know I'm passionate and they know I work hard.
When I graduated from mortuary school, the speaker spoke on service. When you're in the funeral business, you have a service to provide to those families. And I worked at several funeral homes in Louisville, Kentucky, and there's a lot of funeral homes there. But it was several that stood out. And when I was around those individuals at the funeral home, and I think most of the ladies mentioned it, is the care. When those families walk in that door to make arrangements, you got to show love and that you care for what they're going through.
I agree. If you're passionate about it and it's something that you really want to do, I think looking at other people might be a distraction, and they might make you feel, I like to think of imposter syndrome, like I want to do it, but I don't know if I can do it because someone else is doing it. And I think that's just a distraction from the devil, because he already knows that you are greater than what you see. And I think that you should just go ahead and, failure is a part of your success. So if you step out and do it and it's not the way that you want to do it, it's fine. Then you can tweak it a little bit and make it to where you can do it how you want to do it.
So I heard being an individual and then also being innovative. So it doesn't matter if you do the same thing. If you can make yourself stand out and if you can really inspire and touch the person, that's what I heard from you. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else have some questions?
Okay, so if you have a business and your business doesn't go as planned, what do you do?
Good question.
Well, it's almost, your son is handsome too, and nice hair, great hair. It's almost not if your business is not going to go as planned. It's like when your business doesn't go. I always believe in, I have a plan A, B, C, D, E, contingency planning. You can't, there's so many variables in life that you just can't control. I don't care how great, and I know your mom is like world class at what she does, but I bet she's had a few customers along the line that were a little persnickety and maybe weren't as happy. But she did what she did and she tried to make it right. So if something doesn't go as planned, you just have to recalibrate, figure out why it didn't go as planned, and then have a contingency plan or just redirect.
I was going to say the same thing. You may have to change something in the plan in order to make it work.
Anybody else?
You got to do what you want to do.
Persnickety, that's a term of art.
My other question is this. how do you manage being an African American woman in business? Anybody can answer.
Starting out, it was a struggle. Like I said, I couldn't get loans. I was young, trying to get started. I needed a roof over my place, and nobody wanted to loan me the money. But I persevered because it was here, and this was what I wanted to do and to have the business. But eventually, things worked out for me, and I'm thankful for that. But I didn't give up on my plan. If whatever business you want to go in, you have that plan, and you're going to run into obstacles. They're just going to be there, but you can overcome and prevail those obstacles. So don't give up, don't stop. Just keep going in the direction that you're being led to go in. But I think financially, that's the main part that I had trouble getting a loan. And I want to give a wow out to Joe at Paducah Bank. Has made a vision for me come true at Pettus-Rowland Funeral Home. And I want to say thank you and your staff. Thank you.
I'll just say very quickly.
Go ahead.
We grew up with, you have to be twice as good if you're a person of color, and then a woman of color, I guess 3 times as good. I practice in Southeast Missouri, and in the 27 counties in Southeast Missouri, there are no other African-American female attorneys. The others there's a lot in St. Louis, but none there. So I guess I don't really think about it other than the standpoint of, I wonder if other people think about it. But I just strive to be excellent. Whatever my color, I just strive to be excellent. And so they're not seeing Lynne Chambers, the black woman attorney that walks in the courtroom. They're seeing Lynne Chambers, who was going to be an excellent advocate for her clients.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes people see minorities or black people as less than. They do not give the same quality as somebody that's not black. I've had to fight those challenges. I've gone on listing appointments, some of the higher end houses, $300,000-$400,000 houses, and I gave a wonderful presentation, but I wouldn't get the listing. And some people, and I got the cards to prove it, and they even sent me a card. Thank you for coming to our house and taking a look at our house, boom, boom, boom. But I didn't get the listing. They gave it to another agent and used the same price I used, $149.9 or $500, $499.9, something like that. So I said all that to say this. Yeah, I've seen those challenges. I've been doing this since 2005 in Kentucky. So yeah, I've seen them. But what I did was I had to kind of overlook that. I see you don't really like that I'm this black woman selling this house. I see it. But I had to overlook that. I still did the best job I could and brought the most money, or brought that buyer to the house and sold that house. I've gone on some appointments where they thought I was the buyer. They didn't know I was the real estate agent. And I'm dressed like I am now. They just assumed I'm the buyer. So, yeah, I've had those challenges, but you know what? I had to look beyond that. I have to look beyond how they see me. Somebody said that. I have to look beyond how they see me, because I am a woman. I am a black woman. I am a professional woman.
So we want to thank these wonderful ladies. I mean, this has been a wealth of knowledge for all of. I'm soaking it up too when I'm facilitating. So, question?
Yeah, I have one question for the bank. Say if a company is starting to do bid on government contracts, and in a government contract they have to float that job for so much money. Say if it's a $500 or $1 million project, and it's say $200,000 material list or whatever. Do you guys offer any kind of loans based on that contract? How does that work?
ahead, Mr. Crampton.
Did you see my three lovely ladies? They sat there and didn't say a thing. The answer is, it's difficult because many times the government contract is not assignable as collateral. That's one of the biggest issues. So often we have to look beyond that. We do it though, and we have financed and do work with people who have government contracts, and we have a number of small businesses that work that out. So it merits a good discussion.
Another quick question about that. If there's real estate that can be put up for collateral, does that make it?
Absolutely, and often the solution is looking to collateral other than the contract itself,
Right.
such as real estate, family members, or whatever other options you might have to secure the loan. Kevin, Dr. Reese, I'm sorry, I've got to say something. Ladies, this has been heartwarming. I've heard lots of discussion. I've heard lots of success stories. I've heard lots of failures. And Miss Mary Pettus-Rowland, thank you. You don't know this till tonight. I grew up in the funeral business, family funeral business.
Yes.
And about a third of our work was for African-American families.
All right.
At a time when segregation was rampant in every aspect of our life.
Yes.
But to hear you all talk about your successes and what your struggles have been, and to think that each one of you could have been a failure, except for your own determination, your reliance on mentors and people who led you down the right road, and your own commitment to your plan. This has really been heartwarming. People in this world, in this country, in the city, need to hear more of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you ladies too. Thank you for answering my questions, and thank you so much for being here. It's just wonderful seeing so much empowerment, female empowerment, Black women empowerment, empowerment as a whole. So I wish you all the most success in your business forever.
Thank you.
I'm going to introduce Dr. Reese. He wants to speak to you all.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
When I called Kevin at 3 o'clock, coming back from Lexington, so you did the math, I was doing about 85 coming on that interstate. I was determined not to at least get the last portion of this, but certainly congratulations. Thank to each and every one of you. Certainly Lynne, Courtney, Shalonda, Mary, Aseer. I can definitely tell that this was, as I would say, even more than a discussion, right? This was a combination in many ways of, it's like a family reunion. It's life coaching. It's a summit. It's synergy. That's seeing incredible, strong women of color succeeding, as Joe mentioned, and then certainly as I scan the audience, Kevin, as we have these preliminary discussions about the goals of this summit, if you will, the two-part series, we're wondering then in terms of the audience, some of the young possible entrepreneurs in the audience, or some of you who might be interested in business, this sort of information and context is rich and important, and then having access and identifiable individuals with the resources to make those come through is a beautiful thing. And I see you, Aaron, as well. And it's televised, it's recorded, which is equally important that this conversation doesn't die here, that it really then reaches a larger audience. Two other things, and then, I know that the night is long but great. One of the things that I said literally last week to a leadership academy that we're doing here at the college, that one aspect of impact and influence is in part visibility, presence, and networking. And so one of the things that, I would even call it a pitch, but as all of you pretty much know, certainly in this role as president of college, I learned a lot being in a lot of settings. But in many ways, my tour of duty, if you will, with our local chamber, and my good friend Sandra Wilson is at the back, not because she's back there actually, but a very important thing that I would note, and I would encourage you really and truly, to really engage and participate in that opportunity. Because the networking and the level of networking, I just left Lexington, and they will tell you that, you know, our chamber attendance, the opportunity for you to network, build and expand your business, right? Money is green, is an incredible opportunity. And I really want to encourage you all to take that very, very seriously. And again, to tap into the resources by the Small Business Association. We got Aaron in-house, and I know that Kevin has mentioned that. So in a nutshell, you know, let not this moment just be a moment, right? Let it really continue ongoing. So through your networks, also share a lot of the important information that's been shared here tonight. Kevin, we have some tokens of our appreciation, as they say.
Ladies, as a token of our appreciation, I would like, you've got to come off the platform. So we're going to do it in reverse order. So, Aseer Scott, if you would come forward. Got a, yes, Aseer. Thank you. Miss Mary Pettus-Rowland, please come forward.
Mention how long Mary Pettus has been in business?
Yes, 52 years.
Wow, amazing.
As long as I've been alive.
Shulorn Hollowell Jeter.
You want your stuff?
Courtney Hamilton.
It's a double blessing, right? Student and opportunity.
And last, but certainly not least, Miss Lynne Chambers.
Lynne has been friends for over 35 years, and as you can tell, she's a woman of many talents, and thank you for making us so join. Thank you so much.
And again, Joe, thank you so much. Joe Frampton, thank you very much, from Paducah Bank, presenting sponsor. We have to say, wow, for these ladies, but wow, Paducah Bank as well. So thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Lastly, if you would, there is an evaluation sheet on your table. If you would fill that out for us and just leave them on the table, we'd appreciate it.
Also, as we wrap up Black History Month, we do have one more event next week, 28th, I think it is, 27th or 8th, which will be a salute and a tribute to our African-American Greek organizations, and also Assistant Professor Stacy Watson will do a mini lecture on the purpose and the context of our Black History Month. So you don't want to miss that. So definitely invite each and every one of you to come and finish this month on a high note. So thanks again, and thanks certainly to all of those watching virtually. And my special thanks to Paducah Bank, Mr. Frampton. Thank you so much for your.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Safe travels.